Welcome to the Profits in Pajamas podcast. I'm Danielle DeTeach, or Coach Danni D, and I help women entrepreneurs and professionals to achieve their personal success stories that include joy, fulfillment, and balance. This is where we talk about how to build your business in a way that allows you to work with ease, be successful, and enjoy your life. My happy place is spending as much time in my PJs as humanly possible. And I want to help other women find their happy space while running profitable businesses or having a successful career. So get comfortable and let's dig in. Hello and welcome to the Profits in Pajamas podcast. I am your host, Coach Danni D, always here helping you find that space of joy, fulfillment, and balance so that you can have your definition of success right now. So, I've had this conversation multiple times today, so I'm gonna have it just one more one more time because I feel like if multiple people needed to hear it today, then you guys probably needed to hear it as well. So, in this season, we will no longer be overperforming. Repeat it back to me. In this season, we will no longer be overperforming. So, went through a little situation the end of last year, and I'm not going to get into all of the details of that, but it's not the point, it's just the catalyst. So, I have always been, all of the overs, overachiever, overperformer, over. And y'all know I do the calendar detox. Y'all know, this podcast is all about balance and, finding that space. And I realized that while I was operating in a lot of the tenets that I teach, one that I still struggle with is overperforming. And the particular situation pulled me back into that role because that's the role that I play with that group of people. So that's why I mentioned that. And I'm going to just leave that there because it's, again, not relevant. The point is coming out of a situation where I was thrown back into that role. And then, once I was no longer needed in that role, pulled myself out so fast because it brought back memories of when that was how I did everything. One, it showed me that it still was a part of me, right? That um way of being was still in there. But two, it showed me that um I don't like it. And that I've come a long way, but it's still, it still rears its ugly head. So when I came out of that situation, what I did was, when I came into this year, one of my mantras, because I'm not a big New Year's resolution person, right? But one of my mantras was that I will not overperform. And I pay close attention to that now. And I don't know that we're always recognizing when we're overperforming because we are taught to go above and beyond. We are taught to be 10 times better. We are taught to serve. We are taught to over deliver. We're taught all these things like they're positives. But anything over means that you're working outside of normal capacity, right? You're doing over what is supposed to be happening. And I'm not saying that you can't ever, go the extra mile. That's not what I mean, but that should not be the mode that you function in. Your efforts have value, and that's not just monetarily. I don't mean, um, that's not really about business, really, honestly. It is in the sense that it does carry over into how we do business. And for those of us that work in projects, with our clients, that scope creep, right? That scope creep is real. That scope creep where we started, and if that's not I know that that's like in project management and in, different types of projects, that's a common term that may not be common to everybody. It's basically when we sat down together, we wrote a contract, we said that you were going to get A, B, C, D, and I was going to get it to you in this amount of time, and you were going to pay me this amount of money. And then once I start working on the project, all of a sudden you're like, "Oh, what about EFG, HIJ, maybe throw in K. Why you added elemental P?" You know, so that's what scope creep is about, where we start taking on more than what was agreed upon. The same thing happens in our lives where we see a need, we feel a need. We don't ever stop and say who's supposed to be feeling that need. We don't give people the opportunity to rise to the occasion. We just see it, we know it, we can do it. And guess what? We're good at it. And it's going to be faster for me to do it than to explain it to someone else. And that phrase right there gets us in a whole lot of trouble. It's going to be faster for me to do it than to explain it to someone else. Here's the thing. You're right. It's going to be faster for you to do it than to explain it to someone else. But you will always be doing it. So you're going to be doing that thing faster all the time for the rest of your life because you never allow that person to learn how to do it so that they could be responsible for doing it. And then after all the things pile up, you're beaten down because everything was faster for you to do. It was easier for you to just do it. Or you got frustrated because they weren't doing it right. But now you're doing all the things. Me and my husband have a running joke about quicksand. And I wish, because we say this so much, I wish I remembered what we were watching when it came up, right? We were watching some TV show and the person talked about quicksand. And what quicksand is that situation where, you're listening to something, you know the answer, or you could do it quicker, and you jump in just making a suggestion or helping out in the moment, and then you get sucked in. Now that's yours. Now that's your responsibility. We are getting quicksand too much. We are overperforming too much. We're not getting overpaid. We're not getting over rest. Because again, this is not, it's about business because we carry it into our business life. But I'm talking about your everyday life, like how you operating every day. And you are allowing yourself to be overused. You ever have something that, for instance, like most like appliances have motors in them, right? And they're only supposed to be used a certain capacity. And if you overuse that product, then the motor will burn out. The product works. It does what it's supposed to do, but overuse can damage it. That's what's happening to us. we're being overused, and as a result, we're being damaged. And we're assuming that the users are going to turn the switch off before our motors, burn out. But the user having the time of their life because they're getting what they need. But you're not standing up for what you need. You can't expect others to create those boundaries. Those are yours to create. You got to create those boundaries yourself. But overperforming, this one time, it's funny because I'm working on a project for the Capable Confident Challenge, and I'm working on a project for Calendar Detox. And overperforming is, more falls under Calendar Detox, but I'm about to merge the two. Overperforming comes from a place of lack of self-worth. Because if you truly were connected to your worth, you would not feel like you had to to be accepted. You would not feel like you had to go above and beyond because you would understand that regular capacity you is good enough. And that you are worthy of rest. You are worthy of being balanced. You are worthy of happiness, joy. And when I say rest, I don't just mean like going to sleep, but you're worthy of that too. But you are worthy of being at peace. And when you're overperforming, you are rarely at peace because you're always trying to do more. You're always trying to do more. But who's overperforming in your life? Who is giving that back to you? And I'm not saying that somebody should be, because I don't think any of us should be overperforming. But we all need to stay within our capacity so that we are not burning out. And just because you have pushed something beyond its capacity, that does not change the capacity that just wears down what you're dealing with. So you're just wearing that motor down. You might have pushed it past. They might have said, don't run this for more than 30 minutes and you ran it for 2 hours. You might have made it. But that machine that normally that the average life of the machine is 10 years, it's gonna clunk out on you in 5. We have to rethink how we are pushing ourselves and why. Why are we doing this? Because there's really no reason to push yourself beyond capacity, except that we have told ourselves that if I don't do this, I'm not a good friend. If I don't do this, then I'm not a good employee. If I don't do this, then I'm not a good business owner. You are allowed balance, but you have to choose to operate in that way. And I know it's not easy. Like I said, I, was confronted with like, you still grappling with that in a lot of ways. And I do have to hesitate when I want to lean in. But one, I need to take care of what I am assigned to do. I can't do your homework and my homework. I gotta do mine. That's number one. But two, if I'm always doing your homework, think about this for the ones that have not come to, I need to stop over for performing for me. If you're still so focused on, I need to do X, Y, Z for others. If you're still at the end of your line, like you get the little number for the deli for to get your order. If your number is always 152 in the line, you need to start, if that's where you are and you are not ready to say, I'm gonna put myself first just for me, right? I'm gonna meet you where you are. If What if you're not doing a service to those who you think you are helping? When you are the best friend, when you are the best employee, when you are the best, 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 best of everything, how are you allowing those around you to build their own capacity? How will they then be able to take care of themselves if you've always taken care of them? How will they be able to think for themselves if you always jump in every time they have a problem? What will they do if something happens and you are no longer in the situation? I remember many years ago, I used to go to church with my grandmother, and there was a lady at church, and she lived in the assisted living space right next door, and she had these two sons, and I think they may have had some developmental issues, but they were grown men. They were, functioning to a large extent, but she would coddle these sons. And she was getting up in age, and I always, even back then, I thought about what happens when this lady, if something happens to her, right? When, she was, pretty old, and what happens to these sons because she's not really understanding that they had some issues that maybe they weren't, they may have needed some additional support, but the level of coddling was to the extent that they were not able to function without her. But it's inevitable that she's not going to be here. And so, I know that there are programs that are specifically set up to help people to get to that point where they can be self-sufficient, do the basic things that they need. I'm sharing that because you're doing the people around you a disservice by not allowing them to learn, to grow, to be self-sufficient because they got you. They got you, and you at the beck and call. As soon as the bell rings, you jump up. And what I know from conversations, from working with clients, is when the assignment you're supposed to be working on or the things that are valuable to you come up, you too drained to do the things that matter to you because you've been so busy overperforming in somebody else's life. So I will not overperform. When you feel yourself in a space and you're ready to overperform, take a step back, sit back, and Sometimes just read the room because you anxious about something and the people that's supposed to be anxious about it just sitting there just twiddling their thumbs. They don't even know to be anxious because they so used to you jumping in before they probably don't even know what anxiety is. But you do because you've been carrying yours, theirs, and then somebody else's down the street. So we are no longer overperforming. We are, we can be caring without carrying. We can we can be a listening ear. We can toss up our thoughts if they need, some ideas. But for now, because you're not ready for that yet. For now, when somebody comes to you with that problem that you ready to just grab, solve, and give right on back to them, respond and say, so what's your next steps? And let them lead the conversation. All right, y'all. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm gonna get off your toes. I'm gonna get off your toes. But we are no longer overperforming. I will leave you guys with that. I'm trying to think of if there's anything I need to remind y'all of. Of course, the retreat application is open. Get your seats there. Only going to be 10 total women at this event. So I don't want you to miss out because once the doors are closed, the doors are closed. But fill out your application. Monday is going to be the last day to do the 5 payment plan. So if you want the longest, payment plan, which is the 5 payment plan, then get your application in, you know, today, tomorrow, so that you can get approved and start making your payments. I will have more information coming about the summit that's going to be um, following that retreat. Just be patient with me. I have more information coming soon. And I told y'all I was gonna have a little like something else to share with y'all this week, but I'm not ready yet. So, you know, come back next week. Come back next week, and I will have a little more information to share with you guys. But this week I just want you to focus on stopping overperforming. All right. Thanks for listening to the Prophets in Pajamas podcast. I hope you got some great tips to start working with these. Want to stay connected? Follow me at Your Workflow on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. For more information about creating balance in your life, register for my upcoming calendar detox challenge at CoachDanniD.com. Don't forget to subscribe, join the community, and book a call to find the workflow program that best fits your needs.